Hello everybody, John Pollock here alongside Jimmy Corderas, and this is our preview of the WWE's Money in the Bank card, which is coming up Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on the WWE Network. And for those of you with that outdated technology known as pay-per-view.
What's that?
I don't know. These 4.4 million people discovered it for Mayweather-Pacquiao, but pro wrestling, they've evolved from pay-per-view. We've got an interesting card on Sunday. Dean Ambrose, he will be challenging Seth Rollins for the WWE title in a ladder match. So technically we have two ladder matches on this particular event, which kind of seems the theory when it comes to a lot of these shows. You usually get two Hell in a Cells, you get two Elimination Chambers, and Money in the Bank, two ladder matches. Do you have an issue with there being two of kind of the same stipulation match, despite very different stories for both matches?
I want to say yes and no. I mean, obviously, you don't want too much of the same type of match on a show, but at the same time, the one ladder matches has 7 participants. This one is just 2, which will be a showcase for both of them, as opposed to trying to showcase several different talents in one match. I think it's good that they're given an opportunity here to shine. I just I don't know about. It's kind of confusing for me, because I'm of two mindsets, so I'm a little bit torn about this. I think they're going to have a hell of a match. I think both matches are going to deliver, but at the same time, is it too much? That's a good question. I'm on the fence with that one.
I remember talking to Dean Ambrose ahead of WrestleMania this year, and doing the ladder match for the IC title, and kind of asking him, like, we've seen every version of a ladder match possible. The expectations are, I would say, unrealistic at this point. You've seen almost all you can. And he was talking about trying to kind of put together a match that it's different and just coming up with different elements. I think you saw this with Hell in a Cell, where they wanted to start it off different, with Ambrose starting on top of the cell, which we have seen, but just trying to be a bit different. So if we're going to see a lot of high acrobatics in the 7-person ladder match, perhaps in the ladder match I always look at the template that Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit had at the Royal Rumble 2001, where it wasn't stunts, it wasn't jumping off of ladders, it was simply two guys having a match, and there happened to be this weapon involved, and it was used as such. And I think you want to make the two matches as different as possible. I think that should be the goal.
Absolutely, and I think that's what we're going to get on Sunday. I think they will be completely different. Like you said, in the 7-person match, you got guys like Neville, you've got Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston's been added to the match, so there's
all there for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So do I think any one of those 3 have a shot at winning? Absolutely not, but they will be entertaining.
Well, let's start with the Money in the Bank briefcase match. We've got 7 guys in the match: Roman Reigns, Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus, Neville, Kane, Kofi Kingston, and Randy Orton. I guess most are assuming this is Roman Reigns. He makes the most logical sense, but sometimes people like to be surprised and are coming up with alternate scenarios. Is Kofi Kingston going to win this and defend it against Brock Lesnar in Tokyo? I don't really like that scenario. I'm not a big fan of it. I think that Roman Reigns, if these are the 7 that we are going to have in the match and there are no surprises, then Roman Reigns, I think, makes the most sense to go with.
I think he makes the most sense, especially considering where he's gone and how he's developed since WrestleMania and the loss to Brock Lesnar. He's gaining back that steam. He's gaining back some popularity in the WWE fans. Even some of the ones that didn't like him are starting to cheer him, even though there's some holdouts still. But
not getting the there have been some Raws where it's not a gigantic reaction he gets, but you're not getting negative reactions to Roman Reigns either. And I think that kind of taking that step back after WrestleMania, not being thrust into the top title position, I think it's allowed Roman Reigns. He's had some pretty good matches on pay-per-view this year. When you look at what he has done, I mean, he has stepped up, whether it was with Daniel Bryan, the Lesnar match, which turned out really well, and then the Last Man Standing match with Big Show that I think impressed a lot of people. So, I mean, in terms of the in-ring portion, I mean, Roman Reigns has carried his own this year, I thought.
Yeah, and there is a debate to be made whether, because Roman Reigns obviously is the odds-on favorite to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Is it predictable? Probably, but then again, it's not the outcome. It's the story being told getting to, let's say, whenever it is he's going to cash it in. And if he remains a babyface, maybe he's the guy that calls his shot and says, on this day at this pay-per-view, maybe he holds it till WrestleMania and says, whoever the champ is at WrestleMania 32, I'm gunning for you. Or something like that, And again, I refer to it to movies and stuff like that. It's like going to watch Titanic and saying, okay, I don't want the boat to sink at the end. Change the story.
Yeah.
Change the ending because that's too predictable. It's the actual body of the movie that leads to that at the end.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of just swerve for the sake of a swerve. If it doesn't make sense at the end and you're just left asking questions about why this happened when this makes so much more sense, I think sometimes you go with the story that people can see coming, and you are going to get that payoff at the end. And I think the best story to tell is Roman Reigns, kind of a whole 180 of how he lost his opportunity at the title at WrestleMania. Here he comes and redeems it, cashing in the briefcase with notice, and doesn't go the underhanded route.
Right.
I think that's a pretty basic story to tell, and I kind of like it. And there obviously is that interest in doing a Brock Reigns match down the line at some point, whether it's SummerSlam, whether it's WrestleMania. Who knows? It's a possibility.
By the way, spoiler alert, if you're going to go see Lincoln, he gets shot at the end.
Damn it. You're going to upset a lot of people. You just ruined the sequel of Titanic for me as well.
Oh, dang.
Main event, which let's remember that segment on Raw. Kane made it clear that the Money in the Bank ladder match is supposed to take place before Rollins and Ambrose, with the threat that he could cash it in. Sometimes they forget about those kinds of segments, and we'll see if this one goes on after the Money in the Bank ladder match. But we've got Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, second month in a row, and Rollins defending here. Kind of the storyline is he is going to do this all by himself. Does this lead to some kind of interference? Is this teasing it so much that he's going to have the ace in the hole?
Yeah, there's got to be something going on there, because I don't see Dean Ambrose coming out of here with the WWE Championship, or no, maybe with the championship, but not as WWE champion. Let's put it that way.
That's his gimmick. He steals titles.
Yeah, exactly. He's
had runs with the IC title, with the WWE title. Maybe he'll steal Barrett's crown next.
Hey, why not?
I don't think
everything's up for grabs right at this point now.
I don't think Barrett would be putting up much of a fight if he stole the King gimmick from him at this point, given Barrett's stature since winning that tournament.
Yeah, it might be boom, take it. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think maybe we get a little surprised at who helped Seth Rollins out. I don't know who it might be. I'm trying to think outside the box, but at the same time, nobody comes to mind other than
Big Show. Big Show.
Well, it kind of makes sense.
He's come back to television. He has not been linked with the Authority, but never had a falling out with them.
Right.
And to me, it's like they've told you. Security, Mercury and Noble have been cast off. Kane has been cast off. Hunter and Stephanie are hands off on this match. And Big Show, to me, is Rollins. He's always been the guy that's had Rollins back, and I almost see Big Show being put in that kind of enforcer role, and it makes sense. It's maybe not the stunning guy that's going to help him, but I could certainly see Big Show getting involved in this.
And I don't have a problem with Big Show now that you brought Big Show up, because say what you will about, people, I guess there are a lot of people out there saying, oh, I'm tired of Big Show. It's, enough of the Big Show. We've seen him for how many years now? But still, he's still a menacing, imposing figure who still works, like you said, in an enforcer role. I don't mind it.
Maybe Ambrose will just be inches away from grabbing the briefcase, and then the signal will go out on the pay-per-view. And then it's revealed on Raw the next night that the Big Show sat on the production truck, and the signal was lost on the pay-per-view.
Wow.
And thus it never aired.
He can do it. He can do it.
What a hook for Raw the next night. What happened when the lights went out?
Yeah.
Do you believe Rollins leaves here with the title? Is there any any argument to the contrary?
I don't think so. I think now is not the right time, because to me all arrows point towards Rollins and Brock Lesnar, who will be returning. Who knows? Maybe Brock Lesnar's the guy who somehow gets involved in this match and causes a lot of shenanigans. I don't want to see a non-finish or a disputed finish, but
especially if you're wrapping this feud up, I think you do want to get as clean and concise a finish. Which, if Rollins is going towards Brock Lesnar next, and we know that Lesnar, he is advertised June 22nd, so he's coming back to TV quick, and that would suggest Rollins and Lesnar is probably your match for Battleground in July. I would want Rollins to be going into that program as strong as possible, and not this weasel that just gets around winning the title. I think Rollins needs some strong wins. I understand he's a heel, but he needs some credibility behind him when you're going to be headlining against Lesnar, I feel.
Well, you look back at the old days of Ric Flair, when Ric Flair would go into the old territory days, remember them? He'd go into territory and he'd put everybody over until it was time for the title match. And then Ric Flair would always win.
Yeah.
So maybe that kind of deal.
Yeah. What did you think on Monday? I mean, that was the final Raw before Money in the Bank, and I wasn't overwhelmed with the build for this, where it was Ambrose going out on Bourbon Street. It was just, to me, going so... I don't know. I just haven't... You've only had 2 weeks to build this up, and I don't think they've done an overwhelming job of selling you on this match. It's kind of... The payoff is that you're going to get a pretty compelling match between these two, but the creative side of it really hasn't emphasized anything to me.
No, for me, the match that has... the match build that has overshadowed all other matches on this pay-per-view, despite how much time was given to other matches, is Cena and Owens.
Yeah, they're going to have their rematch.
They're going to have the rematch, but... They have been compelling. They've had some compelling television, and they've been doing it without physicality. Whereas, the previous Elimination Chamber, there were 2 weeks of physicality leading up to it, with Owens getting the better of Cena and actually getting the clean win at Elimination Chamber. This has been different. This has been a battle on the mic, and both have been holding their own. And for all the Cena haters out there, he's been great on the mic too, showing a lot of passion and fire too.
Oh, yeah, especially the night after Elimination Chamber. I thought that was a tremendous promo. I thought it was very good from both men that particular night. And it's almost a program where the titles have gotten in the way of this program. It's almost like they're trying to make you forget these titles because they're not on the line this Sunday. I don't think that's a really big issue. But coming back so quickly with this particular rematch, what do you think is the outcome? Because I don't think this feud is ending on Sunday.
No.
They're going to want to prolong it. So does that mean Cena gets his win back here, or do you keep Owens just kind of has this guy's number?
I don't. Yeah, that's the scenario I like. I like Kevin Owens having John Cena's number, and John Cena just can't get past this guy, as opposed to Cena getting his win back, because John Cena doesn't need his win back. John Cena's still going to be John Cena. There's you look throughout the years, even professional sports teams, everybody. There's always that one team that could be that always has another team's number, regardless of what year, what era, who's playing for the team. Maybe Kevin Owens is this one guy that's just got John Cena's number, and John Cena just can't figure him out until SummerSlam or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think that is the best story to tell, and I go back to, and it was a great match at Elimination Chamber, but you almost wish that the first match, it was just Owens just caught him out of nowhere with something, and Cena, it was like, was it a fluke? And we have this match where Owens gets that big win,
right?
And it's much more definitive, and that kind of emphasizes, man, this guy has got Cena's number, and that because they put everything out in that last match, and I assume that they're going to do a similar match this Sunday. So I think you've kind of put yourself into a corner with how high you've raised the bar after match one.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to, I'm going into comic books, I'm getting really nerdy right now, but you look at Superman, who's the strongest force on the planet, but then he comes up against guys like Darkseid and people like that who get the better of him for a little while until the end, when Superman realizes his true strength and then ends up defeating him. So Super Cena may end up eventually finding his true inner strength and defeating Owens, but not before Owens gets the better of him for, I like it going for a while.
Mm-hmm. And Owens, for those not aware, I mean, he does now have a contract on the main roster. Mm-hmm. He is going to be on all Raw tapings moving forward. He's going to be doing live events. He is going to be distancing himself from NXT, certainly. And I would imagine probably dropping that title in the foreseeable future. But what have you thought about the transition? Because I think it's been a pretty seamless one. Owens has been put in a very high-profile situation, whether it be in the ring, on the mic. I think this guy has delivered, and it's really showing that, you know, this guy, his background, he was prepared for this spot and has just walked right into a top spot on the main roster.
Absolutely, and everybody talks about opportunity. They're given opportunity, and regardless of whether you're handed a scripted promo or it's off the top of your head, whatever the case may be for Kevin Owens, he's delivering. And all his promos have been bang on so far, I think.
He sounds like himself. He doesn't sound like he's memorizing 5 paragraphs that someone wrote for him earlier in the day, whether that's the case of him being given a promo and just putting it into his own words. However he's doing it, it sounds like himself. And that is a major bridge that a lot of talent has to cross in order to connect with people. And we see many every week struggle with that.
Absolutely. And bringing his son into it, I think, makes it...
Owen Owens.
Owen Owens. Makes it even double O makes it even more compelling, because now you're bringing art imitates life. You're bringing an essence of realism, because Kevin Owens' son is legit a John Cena fan.
Yeah.
So tying that into the story actually works.
Let's continue on down the card. We've also got the Intercontinental title match with the aforementioned Big Show challenging Ryback. you know, if I'm playing out my theory of Big Show getting involved in that main event and kind of being Seth Rollins' key muscle as he kind of distances himself a bit from the Authority, there's the possibility that you want to make Big Show strong. You put the title on him and beat Ryback, but that's a really quick turnaround after Ryback just won the title.
That's true. But I do like Big Show as a good first obstacle for Ryback in his Intercontinental Championship reign. I didn't like the fact that on Monday that he got the shell shock on him before. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Logic.
I know he's done it before, but that's not the point. It should be a struggle. It shouldn't look that easy.
No, that to me, it's when you're talking about a spot that, you know, fans may have seen a year and a half ago. It's pretty much out of sight, out of mind. That was the key spot built around this match. Why you give that away on the teaser with the champion laying out the challenger? What more motivation do I need to see this match on Sunday? I mean, that was the key spot. I was perplexed at why you would do that. I mean, that's just simple 101 booking. Whether he's winning or losing, I don't know why you give that spot away, even if Ryback were to be losing on Sunday. We will see how that one goes. Nikki Bella and Paige for the Divas title. We're going back to this program. Nikki Bella is just in this weird state of flux where you don't know what she is one week versus the next. This past week, we had Nikki, who after 1 week removed from returning to the Twin Magic gimmick and seemingly back to a heel role, is defending the title against Summer Rae, who is also heel at this point, aligned with The Miz. I think no one knows what to make of Nikki Bella and what role she plays. I think it results in a lot of flat reactions. And to be honest, the brightest spot of the Divas division of the last while for me had been Naomi, who seems to just be on ice now.
Yeah, I don't get it. But, you know, in this era where they say that it's a gray area between heel and babyface, that concept of true heels and true babyfaces is passé. I don't believe that, because you want to get emotionally invested in a character, whether it's positive or negative, whether you want to cheer somebody or boo somebody. Now, for hardcore fans, that may be different, but for casual fans, that's what they look forward to, having their favorites to cheer, having their non-favorites to boo. And when you kind of blur the lines and you kind of switch things up, it's not like when Stone Cold, for example, or even a Roddy Piper back in the day, turned from heel to babyface. They didn't change their style. They didn't change who they were. They just changed opponents. No
one, as much as people go back, oh, Steve Austin, he was this shade of gray. Steve Austin was as over a babyface, and I don't care what your actions are, that guy was a babyface, and he did what the audience wanted him to do. And that, to me, was more a reflection of the shades of gray of the audience expectations as it was the character who was responding to that audience. Right. The idea that in 1998 we were really pondering, man, is Austin a heel?
Right.
Come on.
No.
Like, for a guy that was right there for the reactions that guy got live, please.
Yeah, I hate to go back to Cena, but what a terrible message to send to kids. Hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up. Terrible, unbelievably terrible message.
Jimmy Corderas waving that John Cena flag.
Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, because even to this day, even today, from day one till now, he is still the hardest working guy in that company.
Oh, I think,
and that's not a disrespect or a knock on anybody else there. But he's still the guy, and that's why he's still the man.
I think that it's at a point now where you go to a show, and that's just part of the show. Much like when it was chanting, "You suck" at Kurt Angle. That everyone respected this guy, but it was just so ingrained. It's part of the show now. Right. And the WWE, to their part, they emphasize this. John Cena brings this up in all of his promos. I mean, they really do encourage the audience to chant "Cena sucks." Yeah. They've put out shirts on their own emphasizing this. So it's not something the WWE truly runs from anymore. No. There was a time they fought these reactions. They've given that up. And I think the audience, they go there. I think the majority of them enjoy John Cena's work, and they understand how hardworking this guy is. But whether it be on television or off camera, where this guy is working for this company 24/7. Yeah. And I think a lot of people understand that at this point. Right. Running through the rest of this card, the New Day, presumably Big E and Xavier Woods, defend the tag titles against the Primetime Players, who are the tag team of the month at this point. I don't really sense a title change nor need for it at this point. The New Day has struck something with the audience. I think the chant is very much over, and they've been really delivering in this role as the tag champs.
Yeah, it's funny because I talked to Dave Bautista last year when he was premiering here in Toronto, premiering his
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I could spit it out eventually.
A few people saw it.
Yeah. And he was high on Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, he loves Titus.
He loves Titus, and we're starting to see why a little bit. It's just he's got a different look than everybody else. Even it's muscular, but it's like a different kind of.
His fire-up spots have been really great. I mean, I wouldn't want to necessarily be the guy that's just being thrown around like a rag doll by him, but especially this past Monday. I mean, when he got in the ring, I mean, the crowd was not tremendous in New Orleans, but they really got into Titus O'Neil's comeback and Randy Orton right at the end of the match with Sheamus. Right. So, I mean, there's something there with Titus. I don't know where the ceiling is for it, but they are at least treating this as a big opportunity for themselves, Darren Young and Titus.
Yeah, but like you said, I don't see a title change here, but this is a great opportunity for them to showcase themselves.
And then rounding out the card on the pre-show, we have the King of the Ring winner, King Barrett, who has just gone into obscurity since winning this tournament. It seems to be just the tournament of death. He's taking on R-Truth, who I would suggest the more over of the two at this point. This is our kickoff preview. This is the match R-Truth is in.
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly. But wouldn't that be great if Barrett ends up winning by forfeit because Truth didn't think he was in the match?
Oh, maybe he gets to the show late. He forgot.
No, he thought he was in the Money in the Bank match, and then until he found out he wasn't. Maybe he didn't realize he was in the pre-show match and doesn't show up at all.
Yeah, or they cut to R-Truth asleep in the back. This might be his new character. Yeah. Aloof.
Aloof?
Oh, boy. Let's hope that one just dies right there and is never said again.
Yeah, maybe can we edit that?
No, we don't edit on this particular show. So that's Money in the Bank coming up this Sunday. I guess kind of gauge your level of interest, Jimmy, because we talk about so many stipulation matches that have certainly been trivialized over the years. Money in the Bank is not one of them. It's been a stipulation match that has a big prize attached to it, a prize that has largely been protected some 10 years after its introduction at WrestleMania 21. And this has turned into an important match because people understand the stakes. And I think that is kind of where the weight of this show is rested on.
I'm interested. I'm dying to see where they go with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Like I said, I'm expecting Roman Reigns. That match, I think, will tend to be more of a car wreck than the other one. But then again, you've got Ambrose, who's pretty much willing to throw his body caution to the wind with his body.
I think they'll have a great match. I think those two will be and kind of approach the match of how can we be different and look at it as a challenge when you're following what could be a car wreck.
Yeah, like I said, the multi-man match, probably a lot of high spots, a lot of crazy stunts, whereas the one-on-one match with Ambrose and Rollins, I think, is going to be more violent.
The last thing they did when they initially announced the first 6 participants, they said there will be more names added with the emphasis on the plural, names. And then we had Kane added, who said, I'm the final participant. Do you leave the door open for any surprise entrant? Because they have not teased anything in that regard, which you would think they would be doing if they were going to do a last-minute surprise to gain some kind of last-minute interest. But
I mean, like, I don't want to see another participant because once you start getting to too many guys in the match, it becomes a bit of a cluster. I was thinking that maybe Brock makes a surprise return, not officially in the match, but goes out there and just decimates everybody with ladders, whatever. Not that he needs them, because it's Brock Lesnar. He doesn't need a ladder. And I don't want to say steals the briefcase, but acquires the briefcase and holds it ransom until after his title match with Seth Rollins.
He sells it back to the Authority.
He says, I'm going to keep it until after my title match so that nobody can cash it in like they did it to me on WrestleMania.
There is I'd be very surprised if they put Brock Lesnar on a show unannounced as a surprise, but to your point, him stealing that briefcase and in return, his indefinite suspension is overturned by Stephanie McMahon because you do have to address that suspension.
If you want the briefcase back, lift the suspension.
And then the briefcase is maybe put up again.
Yeah.
So the bait and switch and future delivery, maybe a battleground. Look at this guy, Jimmy. Brought his booking hat to today's edition of the show. Money in the Bank is happening this Sunday, pre-show at 7, main card 8 p.m. Eastern from Columbus, Ohio in the Nationwide Arena. Right after the show, you can tune into Live Audio Wrestling, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, as Jason Agnew, Dan Lavransky, and myself will be running through the show, taking your phone calls. We'll chat with Dave Meltzer, and next week, Jimmy will be back as we dissect Money in the Bank.
How come Braden doesn't get any love?
he's in our developmental program.
Oh, okay.
Once he makes it to the main roster, we'll probably give him a new name.
Okay.
It'll probably be Brandon D or something like that.
Braden Walker?
And he's going to knock your brains out.